Grandma, is Grandad playing today?
Yes, we both are, love.
Why is he taking so long?
He's having trouble with his dentures. They don't fit like they used to.
Grandad, you're making us late.
Need to get those dentures fixed, love. Go see Clinico.
Suze and I worked really hard to build up the business. We're making a few careful investments too. And thinking about our family's future. Our next steps. But no rush. Right now we're just taking the scenic route. And making some memories together.
This is IC Law, or iClaw. We're lawyers, but we're also mums, dads, sons and daughters. We're people helping people. Need legal advice you can trust? We're here to make the big changes easy and the fine print simple, leaving you free to get on with enjoying the things that matter. Give us a call to see how we can help.
Good morning and welcome to the Summer of Bowls and the Morrinsville Bowling Club on October the 2nd, 2022 for the inaugural Clinico Classic. Get your smile on for summer with Clinico Denture and Hearing. An inaugural tournament, Stephen Mackay with Barry Hooper beside me will have two pairs and the final fours for you a little later on. And we're getting set for the first of the pairs matches. Barry, good to have you here. An exciting time too because all the pairs are waiting for the get-go. We're about 10 seconds away from the roll of the jack, and our first team up will be Tio Mutu, Terry Young and Bruce McGill, who is the skip, and Blockhouse Bay and Blue with John Gurney and Tony Holdsworth. And there is the bell for the start of the first game. Quite exciting, this really, an inaugural event, 28 teams and about 112 odd players, and it's good to go.
It's excellent to go. Given that we had such wet weather late yesterday afternoon and it's dawned bright and sunny this morning, it's absolutely fabulous to be able to use the natural green and proceed with the pairs.
Yeah, well, we'll talk more about the new $250,000 carpet because that's, in many ways, this is a celebration. And there we see, that's Bruce McGill with his first bowl. And, well, it's a nice confident start.
It is. It's drawing quite nicely. You can see the natural draw of the bowl. In fact, that's an excellent opening bowl because it's in a good position, just sitting behind the jack by about a metre.
So here's Tony Holdsworth. Now, Tony is no slug. He's no slug. He's a runner-up championship bowler. Gary Lawson about the mid-90s, the Nationals. So he made sure that he got that in to remind us that this is going to be quite a tight little game. And his skip John Gurney very happy with the way. That's a great start.
That's excellent. You couldn't have really asked for much more than that. That probably sets the tone for the calibre of the game that we can expect.
So I was talking to Trevor Lindgaard, the greenkeeper here, two-time Waikato Greenkeeper of the Year. He says it's running at about 16.
Yes, it would be. It might actually quicken up as the game goes on, but at 16, that's it's a pace which bowlers generally can play their bowls with some confidence.
Said it normally runs at 17. Now, does that make that much of a difference when we're talking a second?
It does make a difference, largely because the faster it becomes, then the bowl hardly needs any pressure or any force whatsoever. The bowl they let it go and it does the work. They've just got to then gauge how much green to give it. That's the width from the centre line, and the pace of the green does make a difference. But it looks like they've adjusted pretty well to the 16 second, because all of those bowls are beyond the jack, and that's precisely what a skip would want.
Well, 2 strong bowls from Tony first up. Here's his third. He'll follow this down and try and make sure that there's plenty of blue traffic in the way, but it's a strong start, holding a shot, Blockhouse Bay, at this point.
Yes, they are, and I think that bowl might have been a disappointment, but it's actually sitting behind the other 3 black, and I think he was probably hoping to cover those 3, that if the jack goes the other way, he's somewhere in the vicinity.
It is hard to believe that 24 hours ago, in fact, probably 5 or 6 hours ago, this was underwater, this green, and Trevor Lingard brought the roller out, and away he went. Now here's Terry Young for Teo Amutu.
This is Bruce McGill.
Excuse me, my apologies, Bruce McGill. That's what I've written.
Yeah,
my bad.
It'll take us a little while to get used to these guys.
Bruce McGill. Now I'd written tall. He's tall as our
he
Bruce.
Is.
Now John Gurney. John Gurney, both John and Tony, former stalwarts of Mount Albert. I always say when I talk about Mount Albert, I always think about rugby league, and I call them the Mount Albert Mafia, because they always find a way to win.
I wonder why. Why do you call it?
So second bowl for Bruce McGill, the skip for Te Awamutu. It's a beautiful day now. In fact, it's actually got quite muggy here at Morrinsville, and you wouldn't have thought that probably 3 hours ago. Second bowl for John Gurney.
That 2 is on a good track. If it just comes inside that black bowl.
That's another great bowl from John Gurney. How many shots do you think they hold right now?
Well,
we'd say at least 3?
I would say it's 3.
So what can Bruce McGill
Bruce
do
is
to
actually
upset?
going to play onto those 2 bowls.
Well, it's taken 1 away. So final bowl for John Gurney. Is he going to come around? Is he going to bring that around? Well, Tony Holdsworth is pretty happy with that. Very happy with that. So now we'll try and figure out how many we get there. So we've got 2 being held up at the moment by Peter Portergeist, our man on the lollipops. We're going to confirm 2. They're going to do a measure now. So it looks like it's 2 for Blockhouse Bay to start. That's a 2 for Blockhouse Bay to start. And that's a nice start to this Clinico Classic here at the Morrinsville Bowling Club. So that was a solid start, you'd have to say, wouldn't you? So end of the first end, and it's 2-0 to Blockhouse Bay. So Tony Holdsworth from Blockhouse Bay with the first bowl.
I think both bowlers would be pretty happy with, all bowlers would be pretty happy with their that opening game. They'll get the measure of the green. All the bowls were actually what we call beyond the head, which means they were not coming up short. This is the first one which is short, and you can see it is because it's just on the edge of the scrim, which is down for protection purposes.
But considering the amount of water that we have seen in the last 24, even 48 hours, this green has held up beautifully.
Superbly. It's looking really good. It's got a good grass cover uniformly right over the green.
Now that's a good first bowl from Terry Young.
Yep, and it just allows players to play with a little bit of confidence.
I love the motion of the bowl release. He almost flicks that right hand.
It's not what you'd call a classic delivery, but it's quite effective.
You'd have to say that's a classic finish. Classic finish. You couldn't get too much better there. Nice bowl from Tony Holdsworth. Here's Terry Young. I love the way bowlers just stare at the ball, willing them to go the way that they need it to go. This is a pretty effective bowl, though, because it's sitting right almost front of the jack now.
Yes, it can be a little bit of a guide for the next person, because they know that once they are told how short it is from the jack, then they know they've just got to come past that bowl, and it should be somewhere near the jack.
Similar line to before. He's got a bit more pace on this one. But another good bowl, says John Gurney, so he's happy with that.
Blockhouse Bay pairing have probably played together a little more than the Te Awamutu.
I think they said they've been playing maybe off and on for maybe 10 to 15 years, gets the touch and pushes that bowl forward.
So it's probably come in for a second shot, which means that there's only one to Blockhouse Bay.
Okay.
And so Te Awamutu could actually attack that shot bowl. By attack, I mean that they could just move it on and take its place.
Yeah, well, the interesting rule here in this classic, and it is a rule that is in many classics, if you kill the jack, they bring it back to the 2 metre mark. So tactically, this classic, you have to play a little more strategic bowls.
Yes, you do. It's what we call sometimes protecting your bowls, making every bowl count.
First bowl from John Gurney, probably not where he wanted it to be. By the way, a warm welcome to you if you're watching this on Pacifica TV through the islands. We're in Morrinsville, New Zealand, about 20 minutes east of Hamilton City. Don't they call Hamilton City the city of the future now? Is that the tagline? I mean, you're Waikato Bowls. You should be all over that, shouldn't you?
Oh, perhaps it changes by the day.
I went to the Hamilton Gardens for the first time the other day. My word, what a beautiful, beautiful place to spend an afternoon. I fell in love with the Italian garden.
Yeah, the gardens are a treat. They've developed over a number of years now, and they're a real tourist enticement. They're relaxing.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
They're just lovely. And at different times of the year, they change their mood.
Down by the Waikato River, you talk about changing of the mood, and you watch the river change through the seasons and the foliage around it. It's glorious. It is a real asset to the city. So definitely a single being held by Blockhouse Bay at the moment.
They'll just be sorting out whether the green plays differently going from one end to the other.
What are you seeing from either? I mean, this is only the second end of 12, but what are you seeing as far as the ends are? That's a hell of a bowl.
That's coming nicely just to add to the count. Now the Te Awamutu bowler has let the ball go pretty quickly.
Still going on his forehand. I was wondering for a moment whether he might, but there's too much on the backhand sitting there, so he's going to try and sneak around here. This is not a bad bowl. This is not a bad bowl.
He's going to take its place and just go with the jack. Oh, he's killed it. It looked, not quite sure, but it may well be that the ball's gone out of the side of the rink. And if it has, it had gone over outside. You can see a little black line with a white background, which shows
Well, there we go. There's a single, so Te Awamutu on the board. It's a single. So that's how it worked out very quickly. Peter Portergeist now on the lollipops is firing them out.
Oh, that's good. That gives us an idea. He's got the colours right.
You'd hope so. You would certainly hope so.
And that happened quite quickly because it was the last bowl of the end. It flicked the jack outside the rink, so the jack comes back in and gets put on the 2-metre spot, which is right at the rear of the mat, or the near part of the mat from where we're looking, and very quickly they knew that they had one shot.
So here's Bruce McGill. Terry Young got it wrong again. No, not having a great start, am I? What do you make of the jack length, by the way?
Probably a fairly safe jack length. It's not very far away from the 2-metre spot, but if you think that the scrim that goes along is about 2 metres in depth, might be a little bit more. So it's a third of the way into that scrim, which can make it a bit tricky when the bowl comes onto the scrim.
Bit short this, way short.
The bowls sometimes tend to run on when they're on the scrim.
So Terry Young, his second bowl. It's the third end of 12, and Blockhouse Bay leading 2-1. I think Bruce McGill's pretty happy with that one. That's a nice bowl, just
it's another very good bowl. Yeah, they're 2 bowls that are in really good position. Ideally, if they can be in line with each other, they create less of a target.
I wonder what he's waiting for. Love that flick. Don't you love that flick of the hand?
Could have been just waiting for a little bit of an instruction from his partner.
Another good bowl by Terry Young. It's been a strong end for him. Very strong end. So just note that we are playing the third end of 12. If you manage to see that the venue scoreboard actually shows how many ends have been played, but no confusion. All you have to worry about is that we have in the third end of 12, and at the moment Blockhouse Bay leading 2-1 over Te Awamutu. Got the feeling in that end that Terry Young was finding his rhythm, finding his length.
Yes, he was. He'll be very satisfied to know that he's got 3 shots, because it becomes a game of the 2 leads are against each other, and they set it up for the 2 skips then to either capitalise or retrieve.
Speaking of skips, this is the Te Awamutu skip, Bruce McGill. Now that's the way to start an end. Gets the toucher as well.
That's a turnaround of 3 shots.
John Gurney.
So now John's going to try and add to that.
This is not a bad response. This is a great response.
Yes, he has.
It's the old story, anything you can do, I can do better. after his first strong bowl. Bruce McGill comes in with the second. It's not going to have any effect too much on the score at this particular point in time. John Gurney, I tell you one thing that I've noticed very quickly here, Barry, is that they are not mucking around when it gets to playing bowls.
They're not. They're keeping it moving.
That is another superb bowl from John Gurney.
He was able to use the opposition bowls, and it's what we call a wick, where they just wick off that particular bowl and make use of it.
So we might be comfortable in saying Blockhouse Bay hold 2. How about this? How about this? How about this? No! Squeaks past. Final bowl for John Gurney. This has been a very good end for him. Too far to be a safety?
Yeah, it was a little bit cautious on that.
So that's 2 to Blockhouse Bay. 2 to Blockhouse Bay. Wow, how about that then? 2 to Blockhouse Bay. So they will go up 4-1 as we enter the 4th end. So confirmation 2 to Blockhouse Bay. How about that then? So now we'll get the jack rolled out, Tony Holdsworth. So 4-1 Blockhouse Bay at the end of the 3rd.
Yes, they'll be quite happy about that.
You think?
For now.
Wow, considering Terry Young had a really strong start for Te Awamutu and put them at that early point in a seemingly strong position.
But given that you can actually score a maximum of 6 shots in one end, anything could happen. Now he's shortened up the jack a little bit.
That's way short.
He's taken the jack so that it's not being influenced by the scrum. So when the ball goes on the scrum, it's gone too far.
Does the scrum change at the amount of scrum that you have? Does it change the work of the bowl, the speed of the bowl at all?
The scrum can actually be a little bit of a limitation because the mat is always placed in the same position. You have a mat which always goes, the edge of the mat goes on the back edge of the scrum, and you can't vary it. So the only way to vary the length of the end is to put the jack in a different position.
Now you're with Waikato Bowls. Play yourself? Have played yourself?
I have.
Okay, so what do you prefer, a shorter or longer end?
I quite like it. Well, I quite like a shorter end, but it sometimes depends. You've got to decide what your opponents favour.
Tidy bowl from Tony Holdsworth.
Yes, he's got the measure of that
4th end.
Green. He's the one who he had the shorter jack, and now he's playing to it. The first one was, he's probably his first bowl is a little bit of a safeguard because it means if the jack goes out over the side, he's got his first bowl in a very good position.
He's doing a nice job as lead, Tony Holdsworth.
Good bowl, just starting to swing away, and you can see that's the pace of the green. Both of them have gone away, so that once they cross the centre line, they keep on going.
I wonder too, having the shorter end is a little bit of a tactical play as well. Just mix it up somewhat.
Yes, it is.
Terry Young probably struggling for length at the moment at that end.
Yes, he's not. He's probably a bit concerned about his consistency. He's got one close to the jack. He's got one back near where the 2 metre spot would be, and he's got one out the side. So he'll be just wrestling a little bit with that.
So we're in the 4th end, and now the skips both come up. This is John Gurney from Blockhouse Bay. 64-year-old, been playing 35 years. Loves his bowls.
Yes, he's quite an accomplished bowler. He's played a lot at the centre level in Auckland.
And there's his opposing skip, and that is Bruce McGill, the, believe it or not, 78-year-old. Lives in Kiki. I know Kiki pretty well because it's got a very good speedway track there.
Oh, it has. It's had a track there for a long time.
Oh, there you go. See, you know a little bit about that then. That's good.
It's Kihiki is virtually almost like a suburb of Te Awamutu. It's just down the hill and up the other side a little bit with a golf course in between.
That's right. Many times I've driven between Hamilton and Te Awamutu. I've got a family in Te Awamutu, the Rose Town, beautiful part of the world. Concentration from the Te Awamutu skip. Nice smooth release of the bowl. Just not enough. Didn't get inside
Just
that yellow bowl.
Didn't quite turn enough. Very fine margin.
Okay, so, righty, here we go again. He's coming on his forehand. Silently willing that bowl on. Final bowl now for Bruce McGill. Blockhouse Bay leading 4-1. So Te Awamutu in the green are 3 behind. This is the 4th end of 12. Just not enough, so... We're going to see a single. There's the scorer with the lollipops, Peter Portegeist. A single to Blockhouse Bay at the end of 4 ends. And it will be Blockhouse Bay 5, Te Awamutu 1 as we enter the 5th end. So you're seeing 4 ends there. 4 ends have been played. 5-1 to Blockhouse Bay here at the Clinico Classic.
Yes, now Te Awamutu would not want Blockhouse Bay to get too much of a margin on them at this stage. They're a third of the way through the game.
Potentially another
shorter
end.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the play they're calling.
Yeah, that's the length that they seem quite comfortable about. They feel as though they can put the pressure on.
Tony Holdsworth, the 70-year-old, played 30 years at Mount Albert.
This is a good response.
Well, they need a good response.
They do.
We're almost at the halfway stage of the game, and they're trailing, so they need to find something. Looks skinny.
It does look
Looks
a little
on
bit
target
skinny.
though. Looks on target though.
If he picks it up, he's.
Hey, if skinny's good.
He's very happy about that.
And just gets the marker for touching the jack. John Gurney, the skip. Plenty of play here at Morrinsville. You will have heard lots of noise around the play. There are still other pairs and fours being played at this Clinico Classic.
There was a pretty good response too, because it's actually given Te Awamutu the second shot, and if for example Te Awamutu can actually play onto the shot bowl, the Blockhouse Bay bowl, it'll just move the jack a little bit, and the jack will probably run several centimetres back towards where their 2 blacks are.
John Gurney was willing that one on. He wanted him to cut the gap and find the gap. Didn't do that. So
he'll be playing on the backhand, and he'll be playing to reach the shot bowl.
You've played lots of bowls. Is it easy to play a backhand? Got too much pace on it, hasn't
He
he?
played that pretty well. He was not very far away. It's only millimetres on it, really.
So,
Yes, you can-
Blockhouse Bay holding a shot.
Blockhouse Bay holding shot, and forehand or backhand or right hand or left hand, depending whether you're left-handed, should be the same, because a lot is dependent on where you position your feet. Your feet will actually be pointing in the direction where the ball's going to go, and your hand should come along outside the bowl, outside the foot, a bit parallel to it.
She fair clonks that bowl onto the
He
green,
does.
doesn't he? Just fair throws it down. That was John Gurney, the skip for Blockhouse Bay. I hope he doesn't mind us saying that.
He's just running on. You can see when the bowl gets onto the scrim, it can just have a tendency to run on a little bit.
Well, we can say in the last 20 minutes, the temperature at the Morrinsville Bowling Club has certainly gone up. And it's feeling very much like a warm spring day. Nice toucher. Nice toucher, but...
Now, it's hard for us to tell who's got shot there, so we'd have to look at the lollipop scorer.
So lots being talked about now. What's the shot? What is the shot?
Depending on what information was sent back to the skip to absorb.
Just a bit skinny on that one, John Gurney.
Very close.
So that's Bruce McGill asking, do we hold a shot or not? From where we stand, we're going, yeah, that's a measure right now. (5-1) Blockhouse Bay lead Te Awamutu in the green. This is their skip, Bruce McGill.
He played this pretty well too. Just a little bit over.
He won't be happy with that because that was his final bowl. So this is critical. Who holds the shot? Who does hold the shot? Has he got the pace to bring that inside? It's getting in close, but it's not going to be close enough. My apologies, there is still one bowl to
Yeah,
go.
Bruce
My
has got
apologies.
one more shot to play, and he either will take out the Blockhouse Bay bowl. If he does, he could still move the jack back and turn a potential 1 into maybe 3 or 4.
Well, that's the glory shot.
It is. It is. It's one which you hope for. And I don't think he'd be that happy with that because it's a little bit wide.
Well, Terry Young was saying they hold the shot.
And he may have actually decided that it was better to be cautious and be happy with the 1. Yes, they've actually...
So I'll wait for the score, and it is the 1. It is the single. There it is, the single to Te Awamutu. So they are back in the game. After 5 ends, it'll be Blockhouse Bay 5, Te Awamutu 1. 2, excuse me,
Yes,
2.
5-2.
So 5-2. Is it 5-2? Oh, we started at 5-2 actually.
And that'll be a good end for Te Awamutu to win because it just narrows the gap, all but marginally, but it just keeps them in the picture. It doesn't become too depressing.
So we've had 2 short ends. I wonder
Yeah.
what Te Awamutu want to do. Oh, well, we've just seen that. They want a longer end.
They do, and that
They want
jack
a much longer end.
that's not far away from the spot if the jack is killed. So that's a longer end. So now we'll see whether they can adapt from playing a much shorter end to the longer length.
A little bit too much heat on that. In the gutter, that's a gutter ball. This is Tony Holdsworth from Blockhouse Bay, 70-year-old. He's been playing, believe this, he's been playing 51 years. 51 years on the green.
It's almost the sign of a misspent youth, isn't it?
Well, actually, I don't know you could call playing bowls being a misspent youth.
Well, it depends if he went to school or not. He might have hopped down to the local bowling club. But he certainly has been playing a good while.
You think?
And keep the interest up.
That's golden anniversary territory.
It is.
That's a better second bowl from Terry Young from Te Awamutu. First one in the gutter. Didn't want that. It's not going to help you any.
No, he almost flicks the ball as he lets it go. It's almost as though he just allows it to roll out of the side of his fingers. If you have a look closely at Terry's delivery.
Well, there's a little
He's got
flick
a
on that
flick
too.
He has.
There is a little flick. This is a good bowl. This is a much better bowl. But again, a little bit too much heat on it. So you'd call this a little bit of a messy end from both leads.
They probably won't be happy about that.
Scattergun approach.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Having said that, it looks as though Te Awamutu actually hold 2 shots, although this is possibly going to disturb it.
Yeah.
Can be a little bit deceptive as to who holds shot there, so we might have to wait for the scorer to actually indicate.
So now for the leads to come back up. So just reminding you, we are in the 6th end. And Blockhouse Bay at the Clinico Classic lead Te Awamutu 5-2. Te Awamutu set the jack and they decided to go for a longer end. We had 2 short ends prior to that. That suited Blockhouse Bay. But the leads haven't really helped their team much until the skip steps up to the plate. There's some speed on this too.
Yes, the change in length is actually challenging them a little bit.
A little cloud has come across. You know, I do ask that question. I mean, does cloud affect the green at all?
Yes, it does. It can have the effect of making the green appear a little bit dead, and you have to adjust, not markedly, but just enough to make a person think about where they're going to put the ball.
I mean, when you're up there on the mat, do you look at the lights and shades?
Not more. They probably more so. They will look at the wind, the direction of the wind.
Well, the wonderful thing about today is there is 0 wind. I can see 0 wind here.
There's no wind to,
No
to
wind
complain about, to use as an excuse.
I must say, even in our commentary position inside the clubhouse, it's starting to heat up somewhat. I'm just glad they've got the sliding doors open.
If this bowl comes around the 2 shorter Blockhouse Bay bowls, it'll be a very good bowl. It's just rolled on a bit too far. You can see when it came onto the scrum, it just kept on going.
Now, this end, all 4 bowlers are struggling with length.
They are.
Now, is that a drying green?
It can be. Yes, and this will happen. Although, at the moment, I would think that the moisture in the ground would be coming to the surface, and that has an impact as well. But again, not markedly. It's just something which is progressively happens over time. That's going to bump the...
Yeah, well,
going to block.
Tony Holes was saying he's called the shot. They're going to call the shot, are they?
He is. He just bumped his own ball
They agree.
over a little bit.
Hang on, who's got the shot?
And it should be Blockhouse Bay.
Yep, there we go. Confirmation. The blue lollipop goes up with Peter Portergeist, and it's another shot. Another shot to Blockhouse Bay. They will go into the 7th end, leading 6-2 here at the Clinico Classic.
And that may have been a very critical scoring shot because Te Awamutu may have had more than one at that stage, but the Blockhouse Bay bowl just rolls across in front of the others and gives them the advantage.
If you were being constructively critical, you'd have to say that it was a pretty loose end by all four bowlers.
There was plenty of room for skips to actually draw.
Yeah. So, end number 7 begins here at the Morrinsville Bowling Club.
This is a little bit of a mid-length again. It's not as short as they had earlier on, and it's certainly not as long as the ones in the last couple of ends.
We're fortunate to be able to see the sky here above the Morrinsville Bowling Club, and I don't wish to be the purveyor of doom, but I'm seeing some grey clouds out there. I'm confident we're going to be fine, but considering what the Waikato has dropped on the surrounds in the last 48 hours,
I think we could probably expect just about any kind of weather condition.
John Gurney happy with that bowl from Tony Holdsworth, and why wouldn't you be? That's holding shot, nice draw.
You might notice that some of these bowlers start to favour one side or another. Two ways of playing your bowls. Sometimes they play what we call round the clock, where they play a forehand all the time or a backhand most of the time. And the other is there and back on the same side. You get to know one particular side, you get a good track, and you play a forehand going one way and a backhand going the other.
That is just a weird little flick out of the hand of Tony Holdsworth.
Almost looked as though he lost his balance.
I think it's just the way he does it, but still, that's two good bowls.
He's got two shots there.
So Blockhouse Bay holding 2 shots, leading by 4. So all the pressure going on Te Awamutu.
That's a good green coming in nicely onto the head or the jack.
This is a good bowl. This is a great bowl.
And his bowl's gone with the jack, which means that it's not just moving the jack somewhere else, he's gone with it.
Shot being held now by Te Awamutu, and they certainly need the shots. You're watching the Clinico Classic live on Bowls New Zealand TV and also around the Pacific on Pacifica TV, Bowls TV of course on YouTube. So tell your mates and your friends that there's live bowls coming to you out of the Waikato region. We're watching this pairs part of a fours tournament, which is the Classic. And this is John Gurney, the skip of Blockhouse Bay, who are leading 6-2 against Te Awamutu. Yeah, didn't want that.
No, they should remember that the jack has now moved off the centre line, and so they will need a little bit more green. And of course, they're going onto a portion of the green, of the whole green, which hasn't been used. It's outside of the normal playing area, so that influences where the ball goes to.
That was what I was going to say to you. Do you have to work a green in?
Do, and this Bruce has actually done exactly that. You'll notice it's still run on. He's finished up in the centre line, whereas he really wants to finish up now halfway between the centre line and the outside line.
He's gone for it here. He's throwing that ball, literally throwing that ball onto the green.
And he's going to pick the jack up.
Oh, that's a great pickup.
And he's going to go with it. And because it's gone in the ditch and his bowl's followed it, his bowl's still what we call alive.
All right, so now
Now the jack doesn't go on the 2 metre mark on the spot for that. It's inside the boundary of the rink.
So it's not a killed jack.
It's not a kill jack.
Okay. So what's that bowl? It's going to come at a shot or not. No, it didn't. So that wasn't what the doctor ordered. Here he goes again. Little stray. He is fair throwing that bowl onto the green as John Gurney.
Now, Bruce will really want to try and get close to the ditch, but just draw as close as he can to the jack. It would take an exceptional bowl now to actually get the shot, so he really wants to ensure that Blockhouse Bay don't get 2 shots.
Soft touch. Let's see. So Blockhouse Bay holding at least 2. Has this got the legs? Has it got the legs?
Doesn't look like
No.
it. It looks like it
And
might be
confirmation goes up.
2 shots to Blockhouse Bay.
There you go. So another good end for Blockhouse Bay, scoring regularly. So they will go into the 8th end, 8-2 ahead of Te Awamutu here in the Clinico Classic. Remember, Clinico, Dencher and Herring, they're restoring confidence for 50 years. And Kieran, the boss, is here and really enjoying his time. He was here all day yesterday, weathering the storms and making sure that people know about Clinico. So Blockhouse Bay with the jack. So what are they going to do? Short end, long end?
He's got a little flick when he delivers the jack as well. It's the same delivery that he uses when he's delivering his bowl.
I was almost going to suggest it's like a tick. But it's been effective. The interesting thing, watching Tony, he's worked his way into this game.
Yes, I think he's coming to terms with any idiosyncrasies of this particular rink.
So this is a confident approach, a shorter end. We'll call it a shorter end, or would you call that a standard end of length with the jackers? Because look at that bowl. He's found a jack high.
It's a mid-length. He's delivered the jack. He's now put a bowl right behind it, and that's really what his partner would be so delighted about. They're both playing on that backhand. And you can see as the bowl crosses the centre line, ideally you want that bowl to just cross the centre line while it's very close to the jack. Once it's gone past or before it, it just heads out towards the side of the rink.
You can see the slapping of the leg from Skip John Gurney. He knows this is a good bowl.
Yes,
watch it go, watch it go. That's when you know your partner's in form, with 2 strong bowls, and that can sometimes be quite a psychological knock to the opponents, or a challenge.
They're still playing on the same hand out the side. They probably put a little bit more pace on it then, and to compensate, he needed to bring it in just a little bit.
You think he's going to fall over. It's just the way he delivers the bowl.
It is.
It's a style. It's a style thing.
And he's now putting his 3rd bowl in a position so that if the jack gets attacked,
that's his protector bowl.
He's Te Awamutu, well, they've changed. No, they're
still on the back. He's
still on the backhand.
Playing the backhand. Why do you think he's doing this?
Because if he actually he hits that bowl, he's got a little target there, and he's going to bump the bowl, and it shifted the jack, and now the 2-shot lead that they had has disappeared.
All right, so nice final bowl from Terry Young. Had 2 pretty ordinary ones on the backhand, but now it's game on again in the 8th end of this pairs game at the Morrinsville Bowling Club, a club that's over 100 years old, celebrated their centenary sometimes ago. And I was just asking someone, how old it was, and they said, look at the board, and there was a life member, 1929.
All right.
So it's been here a while, and it certainly has beautiful facilities when you talk about the green.
It has, and for centre events run by Bowls Waikato, we are always very happy to be able to operate out of the Morrinsville Bowling Club.
Now, talk to me about the new green, the new carpet green. How will that draw more events because it's there and it's an all-weather event, all-weather green?
It's more a security aspect. You know that you can play with confidence. I mean, this event would have been probably quite seriously impacted upon if they hadn't had the carpet green, so they've got a backup all the time with the carpet.
Well, there was talk early in the piece as we see this bowl come in from Bruce McKill, which is tidy, but are we splitting the difference on who's got the shot here?
Just asking to see what the position is.
So we're not going to call a shot on this one at the moment. He
Not
just
yet.
throws that bowl. That's like I bowl. And I shouldn't be so disrespectful.
It's like lots of our bowls.
You know the feeling then, right?
I do, indeed.
It's a little bit long on this. Just a little bit long. So that's the
Now
situation.
that's another security bowl. That's in a very good position. Bruce has got the task of either removing the opposition bowl, but there's a chance that he might actually move the jack in the wrong direction.
He has to be a little skinny on this, doesn't he? I tell you
Played it
what.
pretty well.
I tell you what. That's not a bad bowl, but
Now
that's shot. That's 1-2. That's one to Blockhouse Bay.
yes, he's taken his own ball out if it was a shot at the time, but he played positively.
So Tony Holzer is saying, "This is what I want you to do, mate. Can you follow through, please?" So that's another bowl from another match game on the side, so don't worry about that. There weren't two on the green at the same time. So essentially holding one at the moment. Blockhouse Bay leading by 6 in the 8th end. And Te Aumutu needs something here. It's not going to be much because they're going to run out of ends very quickly if they don't fire. This
Played
looks
that
good, doesn't it? This looks
exceedingly well.
great. That's a bowl that could turn from 1 to 2. In fact, hang on a minute. I saw 3 from home, but no, it's already confirmed. That's 2 to Blockhouse Bay.
And that's really encouraging for them because it's reduced the margin.
Sorry, yeah, my apologies. I saw the blue ones go up. No, it's 2 to Te Aumutu. My apologies. It is 2. We'll just have a little chat to Peter about that. First crack at first crack at you know, just watch the jack, Peter. Just watch the jack. Don't walk in front of the jack.
I must confess I wasn't watching the lollipops.
So it's 8-4 Te Aumutu, 8-4 to Blockhouse Bay. And as we move into the 8th end, 9th end, excuse me, 8-4.
Two-thirds of the way through.
So there's life in Te Aumutu. Don't you worry about that. Well, there was gusto in that bowl. Longer end. Tony Holdsworth. Now Blockhouse Bay only 4 shots ahead in the 9th end.
You'll notice that there's hardly been a shot played in anger. In fact, there probably hasn't. They've all been playing draw bowls or just a little bit over to move the shot bowl and replace it.
Now see, he's going onto this backhand, isn't he? This is what we saw in the last end. Likes the backhand, does Terry?
Just a little wide, probably a little heavy. And when you see your skip move towards the bowl, you think, it's heading for the ditch.
Yeah, but I suppose that's what, when you've got the idea of killing the jack, you go back to the 2 metre, you sort of avoid the idea of going for, you know, as you would say, strong bowls in anger.
Yes. Pairs is very much a game of draw anyway. Now those 2 bowls Had they fallen side by side, they would have presented a target. Because of their line parallel to the centre line, they're much harder to move.
You could just say annoying.
They are annoying. They are for the opposition.
But this is a nice response to that from Terry. That's a great response. So Te Awamutu holding that shot now with that lovely, little short, but it's effective.
Any of those bowls that are on either side of very close to the centre line shows that they're getting the measure of the pace of the green, and so the bowls are not very far away. They're always giving themselves a chance. There's a reply from Blockhouse Bay, which is will probably be the shot bowl.
Well, we're going to find that out, aren't we, whether that's the shot bowl or not. So this is the Clinico Classic at the Morrinsville Bowling Club on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, the second day of October 2022. There's been rain for 48 hours, and Triple Guard, the green keeper, has done a stunning job as far as keeping this green intact for play. When you're thinking there's over 100 odd players wandering up and down these greens, it's in pristine condition. Mind you, that's probably why he's been Waikato Greenkeeper of the Year on 2 occasions.
It's interesting too, the term classic. It's a classic because normally they play 4s, but partway through the day, the 4 breaks into 2 pairs. So one pair is out playing they still need the same number of ranks. Well, they need twice as many ranks. So one pair plays pairs, while the other pair's having an earlier lunch.
Yeah, see, when you started discussing that with Kevin, I got completely fogged. I glazed over. But it's essentially a classic as a 4s tournament.
And the middle round of it being a pairs is simply 2 2s, so that the 4 still play a game, but they're just a little bit shorter than the usual one.
And then that's just a slip, right?
That is a slip.
Now, what if that had gone past the scrum? Would it have been considered a bowl?
Sportsmanship would come into that.
Skip Bruce McGill.
Just wondering whether it could be regarded along the lines of a Mankad run out in cricket.
Oh gosh, we're going down that hole?
Well, I hope not. A little bit of moisture on the bowl. It's quite easy for it to slip out of your hands.
So it's a little hard to determine who's holding shot, but John Gurney may have helped us answer that question.
They're all around.
Oh gosh. I just don't know. What do you think?
I've got a feeling that Te Awamutu might be holding shot on this, and I would like to add another one because it'll just narrow the gap further.
They've favoured the backhand today, haven't they, Te Awamutu? Well, actually, in the last probably 3 ends, they've favoured the backhand a lot more. This is a tidy-looking bowl.
He can
Barry,
play onto that black bowl,
and
that'll bring another shot.
That is a great bowl from the skip, Bruce McGill, from Te Awamutu. They need shots. They're 4 behind. This is the 9th end of 12 at the Clinico Spring Classic here at the Morrinsville Bowling Club. So Tony Holdsworth.
We might see a shot in anger now because it could be 3 shots to Te Awamutu.
Was there anger in that?
Well, yes, you can see the pace of the bowl, and it's going to slide right past and be ineffective.
Misplaced anger?
Might even be 4 shots. I'd say it could be 3.
Well, to the left of your screen is the score with the paddles. That's our very own Peter Portergeist. He will get them up. He's listening in carefully. Oh, there's a measure. Okay, now you know it's getting serious when the measure comes out.
Yes,
you know that if you pick up 4 here, we're all square going to the 10th.
Much quicker to pull the measure out of your pocket and measure than walking round and round and round in circles for a wee while. Particularly in a time limit game.
I've always been fascinated with that one's out. So what have we got here? We've got
3.
3 to Te Awamutu, 3 at the end of the 9th, and they are now well back in the hunt in this pairs game here at Morrinsville. It'll be going into the 10th end. It'll be 8-7 Blockhouse Bay. They raced out to a 6-2 lead, and the 9th end has turned into an absolute cracker. So it's, if I'm right, is it 8-7 or 8-6?
It should be 8-7.
It should be 8-7. It should be 8-7.
I think it was 8-4 before.
That's correct, yes.
And I'm just thinking it'd be interesting to know just what sort of length they've gone. They've gone from a longish length, which has suited Te Awamutu more so than it probably Blockhouse Bay.
So a little bit, you'd suggest now that maybe Blockhouse Bay are slightly nervous at this last 2 ends by Te Awamutu. Oh, slow down. You can
Yeah, so
slow
it
down.
looks like it might be hitting
Yep.
to the ditch. You really want all your bowls on the green. When you're playing pairs, you lose a couple of bowls like that, and it reduces your chances. Now that bowl's going to cross the centre line now, so it'll I'm interested to see how far it keeps on travelling.
Forehand this time. Haven't seen much of that in the last 3 or 4 ends
No,
from Te Awamutu, have we?
He was playing backhand down that line.
This is going to go close to being a touch. Ooh, whisker away.
And it keeps on running.
So an untidy start, let's just say, at this end for the 2 leads.
Yeah.
That's wide of the mark. That's way wide of the mark.
Yes, that's well wide. The other 2 look as though they're a long way away from the jack, but they're probably inside a metre.
Is this going to pull up? Is this going to pull up? Is it going to pull up? No.
It's going to be very close to the spot if the jack was killed.
Okay, a little nerves showing by these 2 bowlers now, with the score having tightened up. Blockhouse Bay having shot out to a 6-2 lead. Now they're a shot ahead. It's 8-7 in the 10th. That's a better final bowl from Tony Holdsworth. Would probably give them the shot. Not too much said between him and the skip.
Yep,
Skip John
he's
Gurney.
about half a metre away from the jack there.
Just have a little look. Let's see. That's what we're looking at there. So Bruce McGill, the Te Awamutu skip up first in this 10th end. Remember, only 2 after this, but they have certainly come home strongly, but it's not over yet.
It's not on a good track, but it might just go by a little bit, but it's still in a very good position.
He's come wide again. This is a wide bowler. Has he got enough angle on this coming in? Well, that could turn out to be a handy bowl strategically. So back onto the forehand for Bruce McGill. Swings this one in. Is it going to hold up though? Is it going to hold up? Might be such a bad bowl as we get down to these final bowls being played if John decides to be a little aggressive, knowing he's got a back bowler sitting there.
That's going to cross the centre line and keep on going, so that's probably a bowl you'd like to have again.
I think he's suggesting he's one down.
Yeah, they might even be, Blockhouse Bay might actually be holding 2 shots.
This is a good response.
Yeah,
This looks a nice bowl. He may even get the toucher here. That's a great bowl.
That's a lovely bowl.
That is a good response. It puts all the pressure back now on John Gurney from Blockhouse Bay. There's the toucher. Well, how about that? How about that?
It'll be interesting to see with a Blockhouse Bay bowl. No, it's just the 1 shot, I think.
2.
2 shots?
They're holding 2 shots. So
They
from
are.
going from behind, they've just jumped into the lead. It'll be 9-8 Blockhouse Bay. It'll be 9-8 Blockhouse Bay with 2 ends to play.
So Te Awamutu have actually scored 5 shots without Blockhouse Bay scoring. From 8-4 down.
Look at the chat between the 2 skips. You sure about that? Yeah, I'm sure about that. So, 2 to play. That's 2 ends to play in this pairs of the Clinico Spring Classic. And as they say in the game, game on.
It is game on, and if Te Awamutu actually wins this end, they'll be in the box seat for the final end. Same will apply to Blockhouse Bay. If they win the end, then they'll be in the box seat for the final end.
You surprised at how quickly Te Awamutu have got themselves back in the latter stages of this game?
Not necessarily. It's
That's a good ball.
fortunes can change very, very quickly.
I like you sitting on the fence.
It's good.
You can commit.
Oh, I've had many years of practice of sitting on the fence.
So 1 shot being held by Blockhouse Bay at the moment. Tony Holds with the lead with that shot being held.
I might add to that, this could be a 2nd shot.
That's tidy. That's really tidy.
Interesting the direction that Bruce has asked Terry to follow. He's still playing on the backhand, and he just wants him to come just over the head at about what we would call 4 o'clock. He's gone a bit further than that.
Two good bowls from Tony Holdsworth for Blockhouse Bay, who are now trailing by the single shot after the storming run by Te Awamutu here at Morrinsville.
Yes, Blockhouse Bay will be holding, oh, well, they're probably holding 3 shots. And I think he would have liked that one to be closer to the, more onto the scrim,
Yep.
so that if Te Awamutu play onto the shot bowl and the jack moves, it's going to come back a metre or 2.
So Bruce McGill, a very good 10th end to help the team move to the front in this pairs. They certainly haven't mucked around as far as time goes. We started at 10:55. It's just past midday here in Morrinsville. If you're watching this on Pacifica TV in the islands, welcome to you. This is the Clinico Spring Classic at Morrinsville.
Now, Te Awamutu have got 4 back bowls, but the danger is if they try and attack that head and move the jack back and they're off target, it's a wasted bowl. Now there's more of a target there. There's almost 3 bowls across, which is very tempting for Bruce to dislodge. And he's narrowed it up a little bit. He's played a pretty good bowl.
Is he going to split the difference here? Oh, that's... Wow, it's down to a shot from 3 to 1.
Yep, it could even be from 4 down to 1.
I love the change in the tension in the face. You see, it's all very casual. For yeah, we're leading 6-2. Hang on a minute, we're down by a shot now.
Indeed.
And there's only a need to play after this. And suddenly everything starts to get a little bit serious.
Now, this could be a disaster, and it could be quite effective, and it's neither.
Split the difference again. Split the difference. So a shot, we believe, being held by Blockhouse Bay to maybe go into the final end all tied up at 9 apiece, but still bowls to play. Hang on a minute. Okay. Instructions have been given. Nice lead. This is the skip. Backhand.
He's playing the backhand.
But that would be the chosen shot to get the touch here. See, Tony Holdsworth put his arms in and goes, oh my gosh, how close is that? Let's see what he says. What does he think?
The mark is not committing himself either.
We won't let him.
It looks as though it's 1 to Blockhouse Bay.
Which would suggest the perfect thing for television. It's all tied up with 1 to play. Let's have a look. Don't touch it. Touch it.
No, he was very careful, because if the yellow and green bowl was resting on the blue bowl that was taken out, it could just topple over.
And let's get confirmation. 2
shots.
2 shots to Blockhouse Bay. 2 shots to Blockhouse Bay, and with 1 end to play, they will go 10-9 ahead of Te Awamutu. This has turned into a tight little game here at Morrinsville.
Which raises the question that if Te Awamutu scored 1 on the last end, it'd be all tied up. Now, normally in knockout play, you have to have an extra tie break end, but in this, they can have draws.
Correct. Now you're sitting on the fence again. Get off that fence, Barry. Get off the fence.
I hope I've got that right.
They have been having draws in the Spring Classic.
Yes, they do. Because the points will go forward to the eventual finalist.
Yeah, so the 2 4s team with the most points will end up in the Spring Classic final. $1,800 on the line for the winning 4. A $5,000 prize pool here. Kevin Hansen, the tournament director, has done a fine job with sponsorship. And also, when you think about it, teams as well brought up Val Smith and Joe Edwards, and they were over in Te Awamutu, chatting to bowlers and having just sharing experiences. They shared experiences to the tournament players on Friday evening, and apparently there's some fine stories, some of which can't be repeated, but a lot of fun has been had. And just such lovely dice. Had a good long chat to Val Smith about the Birmingham experience, because I said, look, I have to ask the question. It seemed like a very emotional event. Every time the bronze medals that they won, the women, there was quite a lot of tears, and I said, was there something going on? She said, no, it was just the fact that we were so tight as a team, it felt like family, and we were just so happy to win medals.
Yes.
And I thought it was just a lovely way of describing it. That's a good bowl.
That's a very good bowl from Blockhouse Bay.
Championship hand, you could call it.
It was interesting, the decision to bring Val and Joe from Nelson, fly them up and have them located at a club. Bowls Waikato held a workshop a few weeks beforehand, and there was a prize draw in that all of the participants of that workshop were entered into a draw, and randomly one was picked, and it happened to be Te Awa Mutu, who were then invited to host Val and Joe on the Friday once they arrived and got picked up from the airport. And they, in turn, invited other clubs to come and join them and just hear what was going on. So it was very much a consideration of all of the other clubs.
I think
as
it's
well.
fantastic. I mean, when you get to, let's say, rock stars of the game, why wouldn't you?
And I think Joe and Val playing in amongst general rank and file members, if you like, of players, have shown that they can accommodate whoever they're playing with.
I spoke to Jo yesterday about what she's doing, and she's called quits on her international game, the whole 9 yards, and she's thoroughly enjoying exactly what you spoke about, which is just going around and spreading the message of bowls.
Yes.
And her ability to deliver the message along with Val, you can understand why people want to continue and be in bowls. So this is the final end of this pairs encounter between Te Awa Mutu and Blockhouse Bay. The last two ends, it's gone tit for tat. It's now Blockhouse Bay leading by the single shot and holding a shot.
Yes, Blockhouse Bay have probably got this in control at the moment, but
famous last
bowls,
words,
yes,
Barry. Famous
bowls.
last words, Barry.
It's never over till the last bowl's been played. You can't really see very many Te Awa Mutu bowls there.
Well, it's up to the skips. We know that Bruce McGillen, at least two of the last three ends, really nailed the final bowl.
Well, he's cut the margin down so that's only a one shot at the moment. Slide by.
Not the time you need to be loose.
No, it's still just one down with Bruce a chance to level it up for Te Awa Mutu. And they have the advantage of the last bowl.
So here's all this experience of Bruce McGill, the 78-year-old.
They've got to move that blue ball on, and
ooh. Now, is that a shot bowl?
that is the shot bowl. Perhaps doesn't look quite like it from the television angle, but it's a bowl which is level with the jack, and that looked quite narrow.
Very narrow, and I think he knows it too. I think he knows that's where narrow.
Now, Bruce has got the last bowl, knowing that he's holding shot. Does he play for the draw, or does he want to actually...
Oh, come on. You don't play for a draw, you play for the win, Barry.
This
you
is,
know that.
This is a decision that he has to make.
There are points on offer. What would you do? Call it now before the ball comes out of his hand.
I would play on the backhand and just try and nestle with my existing shot bowl and get two.
There you go. So you're playing for the win. That's what we want. Play for the win. Get off that fence, Barry. Come on.
If he had played the other hand, he could have moved the jack back to the opposition. He's come in the right way, but he's possibly just a little bit short. And they're shaking hands, and the evenness of this competition is demonstrated with this result.
So that was a single to Te Awa Mutu, and after all of that, after Blockhouse Bay went 6-2 up, This game has ended after 12 ends at 10 apiece, and in the Spring Classic we do have draws, and that's worth points, and that's the most important thing about it. The points add to who will be in the final championship match of the day in the fours. So that's pairs game number 1 out of the way. We will take a break and be back with pairs number 2, but confirming the final score in this first game of the day at Morrinsville at the Clinico Spring Classic. Te Awamutu 10, Blockhouse Bay 10.
Hey Grandma, is Grandad playing today?
Yes, we both are, love.
Why is he taking so long?
He's having trouble with his dentures. They don't fit like they used to.
Grandad, you're making us late.
Need to get those dentures fixed, love. Go see Clinico.
This is IC Law, or iClaw. We're lawyers, but we're also mums, dads, sons and daughters. We're people helping people. Need legal advice you can trust? We're here to make the big changes easy and the fine print simple, leaving you free to get on with enjoying the things that matter. Give us a call to see how we can help.
Suze and I worked really hard to build up the business. We're making a few careful investments too. And thinking about our family's future. Our next steps. But no rush. Right now we're just taking the scenic route. And making some memories together.